Okay, good morning, everybody. As we start the Chitas of today, today is the first day of the week and the fourth day of the month. What do I do with a Tillim? Okay. Okay, so we'll start with the Chumash of the day. Vayem Hashem Moshe, and God said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Boy, Pare, come to Pare, Kanich, Barati Esliboy, because I strengthen his heart. Veslev Avodah, in the hearts of his servants, Leman Shisi Oisoisai. So in order that I place my signs, Eile Bekirboy, these signs in his midst. So Rashi Yemasham part of Hisrabe and warn him. This is a boy actually, it's written on boy is 3. These are the last 3 plagues in this Pasha. Shisi Shimi. Now so Shisi is placing. She'oshisani I may place. Lamanta Sap, verse number 2, Lamanta Sap Ba'azne Bincha, and also that you're going to be able to tell to the ears of your children, Obem Bincha, your children's children. The mockery I made of Egypt, and my signs, which I put in them. Them, and you will know. Kani Hashem, I am God. I'm God. Salalti, so Rashi says it's a lashon of mocking. I will mock. Salalti. And he goes to explain the word his alalti. The grammar. Verse number 3. Moshe v'Aaron el Pari, and Moses and Aaron came to Pharaoh and they told him, this is what the God of the Jewish people said. How long do you refuse to humble yourself before me? Shlach ami v'yaduni, send my nation and let them serve me. So that is la'anois. Over here, the Targum translates lischan'a, which is derived from the word ani. You may refuse to be humble and meek before me. To refuse. Verse number 4. Because if you refuse to let them come back, the same word as lanis ma'an. I'm going to bring tomorrow locust in your borders. Verse 5. It's going to cover the eye of the land. You're not going to be able to see the land from all these locusts. It's going to eat everything that's laid for the hail. It's going to eat all your trees that grow from the field. It's the view of the earth. The people will not be able to see the land. And this is a short version of what's going to happen. Verse number 6. It's going to fill your house. It's going to fill the houses of all these servants of your in the house of Egypt. It's going to be a plague of locusts that your fathers and your forefathers have not seen. From the time they were on the earth, until today. And they turned and they left the Pharaoh. Verse number 7. The students of Pharaoh said to him, how much longer is this going to be a stumbling block for us? Send them out. Let them go serve their God. Do you not know? That the whole land of Egypt has been destroyed. They're living in a bubble. So Rashi says, do you not know yet that Egypt is lost? Verse number 8. So they brought back Moshe and Aaron. So he said, go serve them. Who are going to be going? So Rashi says, They brought him back. They brought him back through a messenger who went out after them to find them and bring them back. Verse number 9. Moshe Rabbeinu answered, B'nareinu u'b'zkenenu, with our youth and with our elders. Neilech we will go. B'banenu, with our sons, u'bibneisenu, and with our daughters. B'teinenu, with our flock, u'bivkarenu, and with our cattle. Neilech, we will all go. Ki Chag Hashem lanu, because it's a festival to the Eibishter. And therefore, we're going all. Verse number 10. So Pharaoh said to them, Yehi chen. So may the Lord be with you. Like I'm going to let you and to send your children. See, see that evil is before your eyes. So Rashi says, and surely I will not let the. So you're saying that your elders and the youngers, it's not happening. And why would I send the flock and the cattle, as you say? Why not? See that the evil is before your faces. Understand this, as a Targum Onkelos renders it. I have also heard an Agadic Medrash, however, which explains the passage as follows. There's a star named Ra'ah. Ra'ah, meaning evil. Pharaoh said to them, Moses and that to Moses, with my astrology, I see that there's a star standing towards you in the desert. We're going to go. And that's a sign of blood and slaughter. When the Israelites sinned, and that's what ultimately happened a little bit, when the Israelites sinned the calf, the golden calf, the other one, blessed be, sought to kill them. Moshe Rabbeinu said in his prayer, why should the Egyptians say, with Ra'ah, he took them out? This is what the Pharaoh said to them. See that Ra'ah, evil, is opposite your faces, implying that their blood will be shed in the desert. Immediately, by the golden calf, the Lord repented of the Ra'ah of the Menachem. The Eibishter had decided not to, self-understood, and he turned the bloodshed symbolized by the star into the bloodshed of circumcision. For Joshua, in fact, circumcised them in the time when the Jewish people went into Israel. This would mean what he said, this day I have rolled away the approach of the Egyptians from you, and Joshua, which ultimately, that means that the Pharaoh saw all the tzadis that the Jewish people have in the desert, and he told them that the star is going to, this astrology is going to follow them in the desert. Therefore, this star, actually, he was a little bit right, which followed them in the desert until Joshua told them, I'm taking away the reproach, the disgrace of the Egyptian. That they would say, we see blood over you in the desert. So he said, you cannot go. The truth is that the Pharaoh, in essence, saw something that through astrology, that ultimately all the men that went out of Mitzrayim, 20 and above, died in the desert. So therefore, verse 11, he was wrong with the children, but because the children, and the daughters, and the girls, and the women did not die in the desert. So therefore, he told them, let's change the way you're going to go out. Let the men go out, the Ivdos Hashem, and let the men go out to serve God. Because that's what you're requesting, to serve God. And he chased them away. So Rashi says, not as that you say you want to take the young children with you, but let the men go into worship the Lord. Because that's what you're requesting. You requested until now, telling them let them offer sacrifice to God. And young children do not usually offer sacrifice. So why are you taking the children out? Rashi says, it doesn't say, again, this is always a short word, it doesn't say who was the chaser. It was that he was chased out of the face of Pharaoh. The Rebbe, Lubavitch Rebbe, would always say this verse many times. The verse of Moshe Rabbeinu, B'nireinu, verse number 9, B'nareinu, B'skeinenu, Neilech, B'banenu, B'neseinu. That ultimately the Moshe Rabbeinu says our children and our youth and our adults and our sons and our daughters we're all going to march out of Golus. That ends the Chumash of the day. The Alter Rebbe says, he's explaining a wonderful, beautiful concept we are holding in the 19th chapter of Tanya. And the Alter Rebbe is explaining that even ultimately every neshama, even if it comes to the lowest level, and the neshama itself, through the body, through the sins of a person, he lowers himself even lower than where he came from, and he comes to a Poishi Yisrael, he becomes a sinner of the Jewish nation, God forbid. He still is connected, his nefesh is still connected to his chachma, to his wisdom. And his chachma is connected to the ultimate wisdom, chachma atzilus, the highest level of chachma, which chachma is connected to God. In chachma, kulam b'chachma sisa, vayim b'chachma, that the Ein Sof, infinity is rest in chachma. And therefore the Alter Rebbe explains that now we can see why every Jew, doesn't make a difference whether he's a tzaddik or even a rasha, God forbid, every single Jew will go Mesiras Nefesh. And we see that throughout history, that every Jew will go on Mesiras Nefesh. Where do they get this capability? Even though they have sinned and they have never done a mitzvah and they have done everything the opposite of God told them, but they're ready to go on Mesiras Nefesh. The famous expression of this generation of a Jew who said, I'm a Jew and my father's a Jew and my mother's a Jew. Not to denounce his Yiddishkeit. Where does a Jew get that capability? The Alter Rebbe answers, because you cannot take the Chachma into Klippa. Since Chachma, wisdom, has within it a spark of Ein Sof, infinity, that's why everything else, Chas Shalom, the Jew can drag into Klippas, and the Jew can drag into impurity. But the Chachma of the Neshama, the wisdom of this soul, cannot go into impurity and will always stay pure. And that's what we always say in our davening. The soul that I have is tahor, cannot become impure. So the Alter Rebbe says this. This exile of the fact that Chachma affects only that aspect in which it is diffused throughout the nefesh and animates divine vitality, where Chachma comes into the other attributes. But the root and the core of Chachma in the divine soul is in the brain, and does not clothe itself in the sackcloth of Klippa in the left part of the heart, in a true state of exile. Chachma cannot be put, the essence of Chachma, the way it's in the source in the godly soul, cannot come into Klippa. Cannot come into that way and be in Gullus. It's a famous expression of Frierdiker Rebbe. You can take the guf into Gullus, you can't take the neshama into Gullus. What happens is Chachma. What happens to the Chachma of the neshama when a rasha is busy doing Avedis? What happens is they go to sleep. He puts his Chachma to sleep. And it doesn't affect him. As long as they are using their knowledge and their understanding and preoccupied with the mundane pleasures of the world. But however, when they are not even a wicked person, are confronted with a test of faith, he's pushed to the corner, and now he's tested with his faith, with his own faith, which is faith, as we explained, is above understanding. Now this test pushes him and touches his soul. the bechinas chachma taba, to the essence of the soul, the wisdom of the soul. Then it awakens from its sleep. And it exerts its influence on the divine, with the divine force. With the divine force that's in it. As it's written, then the Lord awakened as one out of sleep. So this verse refers to also the level of Chachma and the light of Ein Sof that's closed within, which was previously in a state of sleep, inactive, but arises and exerts its influence when faced with a test of faith. Then the Jew wakens up and he has the capability to withstand the test of faith of God. Belishum tam, without any reason, vidas, and any knowledge, v'seichel, any comprehension, that he can comprehend. Gaber ala klipa, and he prevails over this covering. And the desires of this world, whether they are permitted to be isser or whether they are prohibited, shehogobem, which he got used to them, ulimis bam, and now suddenly he hates it. And what happens? We live through this Nisayan. He chooses he chooses God as his portion and his lot. And even to offer his soul to God unto the sanctification of God's name. And even though this clip, this covering, and the strength, it had a strength over him all the days. And he couldn't overcome his desires. As our sages say, that the sadness of the wicked people, sadness of their lot, is that they're in the possession of their hearts. And what do you want from them? They cannot break the servitude to the heart. Nevertheless, when he faces a test, a challenge of his faith, to his faith in God, with this is connected to the highest of holiness. This awakens the wisdom of the godly soul, which I explained, as Alter Rebbe explained, is clothed within it the wisdom, the Ein Sof of God. When that is revealed, all the clippers become nullified and vanished, and they're like not there. Mamash, in reality, they dissipate, they totally disintegrate before God. The verse says all the nations, which over here also includes the clippers, are all nothing before him. As it says, for all your enemies, O Lord, which again in Chassidus refers to the clippers, which are the enemies of God. Yispardu, they will all perish. Chulu, Goymer, etc. Uksiv, him is dealing with the Eshe Vedu, as it says, in other words, they wax melts before fires. So shall the wicked perish, means that their wickedness will perish. The hills, which again, in Chassidus Kabbalah, the hills, people stand in front of it, they have these big mountains to overcome. They have to overcome, and then when they reveal their essence, they melt like wax. So whatever these big mountains, these big clippers, these big challenges seemingly are very strong, and everything disappears when you reveal the essence of the chachma of your neshama. The force of the divine light of Ein Sof, which is clothed in the soul's faculty of chachma, is so intense. To banish and repel the sitra achra. And the klippa, the covering, That at that moment they can't even touch the garments. Then the person says, I don't care what anybody says, I don't care what anybody thinks, I don't care what anybody wants. I have a mun in the in the belief of God, and everything is irrelevant. And he has the capability to withstand any test. And he has the capability to give over himself. That anything refusing to do any mere act that is contrary to the belief of the one God, to bow down to before an idol, even without the knowledge in his heart at all, he will not do anything. He also sacrifice not to speak falsely, God forbid, concerning the unity of God. Even though the words do not reflect his true feelings, because his true feelings, he's been brought up, and his whole time his heart was totally given over to his animalistic soul. Suddenly now he's talking like a big tzaddik. Why? Because now his heart and his mouth is connected to the mun and the Eibishter. And this is called the fear contained in love. Meaning the natural love found in the divine soul of all Jews. Whose instinct, desire, strength desire is and will is to be attached to its origin and source, the light of Ein Sof. Because every Jew has an unbelievable love of God in his wisdom, because it's connected to Ein Sof. It's a connection. It's a bond that cannot be broken. That when suddenly he's pushed to the corner and this love suddenly is awakened, he has the greatest fear. He suddenly will not break any mitzvah. He suddenly will not go against God in any whatsoever. That's where the love, that's where the fear is in this love. That's where the love awakens fear. Even with which was such contact of vows, such outer garments, lay me idolatrous speech and action without any faith whatsoever in his heart, in the validity of the in the validity of idol worship. So even this the soul dreads, and dreads represent a fear contained with a hidden love. So when a Jew considers that he was willing to give up his life rather than to part from God, he will sorely realize that A, he should certainly refrain from sin for the same reason, since every sin tears him away from God, and B, he ought to fulfill the commandment, for through them one achieves the objectives of the hidden love, the unity with God. In this way, one may utilize his hidden love and fear of God contained within it as a motivation for observing all commandments, and will be explained at length in the upcoming chapters. So the Rebbe is going to explain again. He's going to teach us how even though we are not tzaddikim, and we sometimes struggle with the vicious, with evil, but we have this capability. We all have this capability to touch our emunah, to touch our essence of our faith, because maminim b'nei maminim, we are believers, the sons of believers, and we have the capability to reveal this, the chachma shebenefesh, the wisdom of our soul, and to be meisa nefesh, to give ourselves over to God and not to do any aveira, God forbid, and to only want to serve God with love and devotion. This ends the Tanya of the day. Today, the Tilim of today is the 4th day of the month of Shvat, which starts on chapter 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 28. So from 23 to 28, and you would done your chitas, your chumash, Tanya, your Tanya and Tehillim of the day. Have a beautiful day. If you want to continue learning Chassidut, at 10 a.m. We're going to continue to learn Tanya together. Have a beautiful day. If not, see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. as we continue the Chitas of the day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you very much.